show us some cool stuff on the bass, and it's always a lovely thing to see. So let me ask you one thing. So anybody want to tell me what your highlight of the week is? What thing that you learned or saw? Clipper. What?
Snack time.
Snack time. Yes. What? Learning how to play the drums. All of you drummers, you're really important people. Yes, Isaac. Same thing. Yes?
Singing.
One more time. Singing? Did you like Mr. David? And when Miss Warren came and did a great job fill in today, that was really great. I will tell you that the things that you learn when you're singing about breathing, so all your life you will use that breathing. If you ever get up to talk to people or anything, learning how to actually project and use that is great. Grace?
Learning how to use a mixed voice.
A mixed voice? What would that be?
Using your
Head and chest. Huh? Excellent. That's really, really good. Really, really good. Yes. Piano? You like piano? That's near and dear to my heart. Yes. Same thing? Angel? Drum for you? Piano. Drums? Bass. Rap songs. All right. Now we're getting down to the meat of the matter. All right? Yes, Emily. Piano? I think Gino and I, for sure, could tell you that if we had known when we were your age how important music was going to be to us later in life, we probably would have focused a lot more on it.
Exactly right. I would have done that worship for sure.
He would have been here with you in those days. So, and then we have Miss Natalie over here who's been with us for 6 years, and it's really great to see. She's done this. She's musical. She plays multiple instruments, and she's really smart, knows how to go and do a bunch of other stuff. So she's going to be a musical professional, who knows what, the rest of her life. And it's an awesome thing. And so, anybody else before we go on? Yes.
That Miss Whitney is a really good teacher and leader.
She's a really good teacher and leader. I will pass that on to her. Miss Whitney, who couldn't be with us, she actually has to go to Concordia, and she's going to be welcoming new students in. You know, sometimes you have an orientation. You know what we had to do when we first came in that day, tell you what the rules are, what to expect, and all that. She's doing that for some students that are going to be starting at her college in the fall. So she's welcoming some of them in today. So she had to leave us for the day, but she'll be back Monday. Oh, yeah, I know. I've seen him there. Mr. Christopher Fitzgerald is a professor there at Concordia as well. It's a very, very good school if you guys would consider it as you get older. Yes, great.
Many new friends.
That may be one of the better things that we forget to think about, but you make a lot of new friends while we're here. So that's really great. So I'm going to just say thank you also for helping us. You know, it's a really hard job to move all of these things and get set up for you and anticipate where we're going to be, and then to get them back in an order into a storage so that we can have our normal services on the weekend. And then Monday morning when we all get here, we get to restore back to what it was. So hopefully you'll remember where your instruments are. Help us do that. So that's another thing we get to do on Monday, and then Friday we get to put them all up till next year. So thank you so much for your help as well. You guys have worked awesome today. We got done in a hurry. So Deb, is there anything I've forgotten? No? No. David and Daniel? John? Gino? Good. John? Anybody else? Dory, no? I think we're good to go. So, Megan. So, today we have Mr. Paul Finley. He's up here. Notice he has a guitar in his hand. He plays lots of different guitars. He has lots of things. How long have you been playing, Paul?
You're going to make me do math.
What?
You're going to make me do math.
41 years.
41 years. 41 years. So that he has been doing, he has been playing his instrument for that long. And we hope that you will be playing yours that long and longer. So that's why you need to get good on it, become better every day. And I've known Paul for a long time. We've done some things together. I go out and see him when I can, when he's in the neighborhood. He and some different bands that he's in and things. I think, Paul, you got married just a year or two ago?
2.5 already.
Time flies when you're having fun. So,
Yeah.
so he's really good. So here's what I would like you to do. One, which I'd just like you to appreciate. We love beautiful music. And we love really talented artists. So we're glad that he comes and shares with you. He knows some stuff on guitars that none of us even thought about doing. He's learned all this. He's going to show you who knows what all he's going to do. So if you would like to see closer, you're really welcome to come and sit down here. I don't know what all else he has in mind, but Mr. Paul, we welcome you today to Into Worship. Thanks for coming and being with us.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks, you guys. Thank you. So, for me, the guitar, this is the voice, right? You have a lot of different roles in the music world. You know, you have the songwriters, you have the singers, you have the drummers, the keyboard players. So I consider myself a picker, meaning like I love to do all the noodly stuff. You know, I went to school for music and I took years of guitar study. I do sing, not often, but that being said, for example, in the context of worship, which you guys see every Sunday, the guitar normally but you don't know what song it is, right? That could be 10,000 songs. There's no melody. And so that song I just played, does anyone know what song that was? Come Thou Fount. Right. So old hymn. But I can add the guitar accompaniment to that and bring out the melody. And you do the same thing on piano, on organ, anything that you can play multiple voices on. Now, I can get fancier, right? I can add a beat. I'll be a drummer too. Be a little funky bass player. I can get all this stuff cooking, right? Now we're rolling. Then if you got that going, bam, then you get your melody. See, that's all that noodly stuff, right? So, anyhow, that's kind of how I'm approaching things. You know, I love the guitar and what it can do. You know, I play electric just the same. And that's a whole nother world. So, I'll give you a quick tour. And so, when you play a solo guitar piece, the demands on the instrument are a lot higher. You need, you know, the instrument to respond a certain way. Better be in tune. And because you're playing bass and melody and whatever bits in between, you're asking a lot of it. And one trick you do is what they call open tunings, where you tune the guitar differently altogether. It's not a new trick. That goes back 150 years or better. And so that it changes your range. It gives you more notes on the bottom end. It can also make some stuff easier, which is helpful because, you know, you have to use your thumb for the bass lines and your other fingers for your melody notes. So this piece is a piece of mine that I wrote called Arise, which was actually written after retreat many years ago. And the African kora. So I love music from all over the world and all these various instruments. I mean, you have no idea how many thousands upon thousands of instruments have evolved over the years. Wind instruments, drums, things where you pluck strings or you bow, you know, on and on and on. You go to Africa, you go to Australia, you go to the Orient. I mean, it's just endless, which is beautiful. And so the African kora is what they call the African harp. It's been around, you know, 1,000 years. And in their culture, in the West African, Nigerian area, it kind of runs in families. So if your father was a kora player, you're going to be a kora player. Your son's going to be a kora player, and so on, and so on, and so on. So the slaves that were brought over to the United States, they couldn't bring their koras, so some of those techniques that they had evolved into certain styles of blues guitar, this finger picking style, right? So, and again, as a guitar player, I'm tracing all that stuff. It's like, oh, who wrote this song? What's his name? Where is he from? What other songs did he write? And it just keeps going back the more you dig. Oh, who was he with? What country was he from? Is there any other music like this? And so on. So this piece is heavily influenced by the core. You'll feel it has an African feel. But it's my own concoction. Thank you. The tuning, there's a number of things going on here. So you have D, G, and D. So that string stays where it's supposed to be. That's a G, stays where it's supposed to be. Then an A. So there's a second degree for all your theory majors. La, 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 la. So it's a pretty tight voicing, but it makes for some magic spots on the guitar for melodies. And then another D up on top. There's 3 Ds in there. But I'm capoed up at the 7th fret just to give the guitar, have it sit up in the higher range. You know, the piano has this beautiful range to it. You've got a lot of notes on the bottom, plenty in the middle, plenty on top. And the guitar doesn't have that much range. It's squished in the middle. You lose stuff on the top, you lose stuff on the bottom. So when I retune, and there's other tricks that I'll show you where you can extend that range more. And then it gives you a lot more color, which is optimal for solo pieces. You know, and it's, again, in the context of worship, the guitar needs to drive the tune. It doesn't need to take it over, right? There's always that balance. All right, 12 string. So, the great genius of the 12 string, once you get it in tune, is you have 2 pitches per string. The fundamental, like do, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And you get 2 notes in there. So it fattens up all your notes, whether you're playing melody or anything. And you don't play those 2 strings individually most of the time. There's ways to do it, but for the most part, I'm hitting both of them. And then on these top strings, though, you have what are called unisons. Does anyone know what a unison is? So unison is the exact same note by 2 different properties. You know, if you sing a note, and then if you sing a note and they're the same note, you're singing in unison. You're not singing in harmony where you sing, you know, well, lower and higher notes at the same time. So that normally is not the case on a guitar. You don't play unisons, but you can on a 12 string. And actually the open tunings help that too. So voila, we got this great big sound. And again, I tuned this thing down, so I've got some more low notes. And you're gonna hear lots of chimey stuff. And this is 2 tunes that I'll play. The first tune is called Mayim, which is Hebrew for water. And it's about the second story of creation when the earth was just dry, just like it is here in August. And then the water comes up. Boom, God, we get life, you know, from this. And I had a rabbi explain this to me, that you have the water that's in the dome of the sky, as well as the water that's on the ground. I am is the last 2 letters of the word. You probably know all this. And that means it has a dual meaning, like 2 eyes, left and a right, above, below. So here's a little culture history lesson for you. And then the other tune is called The Bloodhound. And I'm a seeker of notes, you know. Where's that next song? Where's those melodies? How can I twist this thing? One of the tricks of the open tunings is it forces you to kind of be stuck in that key. It's hard to get out of it. So in that song, I try to twist the key, you know. Is it a do, re, mi scale? Is it a different scale? Is it major? Is it minor? Just kind of keeps getting, you know, how do we wrench all we can get out of this thing? So again, the ground. Water. Thank you. Thanks.
How would you play a chord just like that? How you got it? This is called an open tuning. Would you just play it and let them hear that? How it sounds this way? Just that one chord. Okay, so is that like a sixth chord or something? I don't know what that is.
This is what they would just, in the guitar world, they usually call it a modal key. There's no third. Which is awesome.
Sort of a major key. It's just a modal.
Yeah, it's strictly modal. It's unresolved.
Okay.
And you call the tuning has evolved where it's just called dadgad, D-A-D-G-A-D. So it is in that, you know, your tonic is going to usually be on that bottom string. So now with the capo off, yeah. Man, that's a buffet right there. You know, it's a heck of a lot of sound for a solo guitar, but
So when you shake your guitar, what are you doing? What sound are you looking for?
When you shake it, you're the same there?
Yeah,
that's my version of vibrato.
vibrato, yeah.
When I mean I mean on the guitar in this case. So, you know, anytime you sing, you're not going to sing, ah. There's going to be, ah. I'm not a real good singer, so I can't do it very well. But, you know, same thing, you'll see a violinist, they're going to be shaking that hand. And it adds color. On the guitar, I'm not, on solo pieces, playing with other instruments, so I don't have to worry about tuning as much. At least with others. And so, but that just adds some nice color. And of course, you know, you can wrench the thing and, you know, it's a little dangerous because you might hurt your guitar, but, yeah, you know, that's great. That's space. That is dimension, right? You know, all sorts of color. The guy who turned my life around with this sound was a guy named Michael Hedges. And if you've seen, you know, you see this a lot on YouTube these days with a lot of any of the reels, guys that do crazy tunings and a lot of percussive stuff on the guitar. This Michael Hedges was the guy who opened up that, what we call Pandora's box, where he rethought how to approach the guitar. And, you know, everyone else has since, you know, following in his footsteps. And you always get these guys that do that. Bach was someone who just churned out such great music and daring things that people younger than him were like, I want to do that. Classical composers do that all the time, right? Israel Houghton, he's just a wonderful worship leader, and he's got a lot of clever tricks in his chords, you know, and so that's going to leave an impact. So, that being said, let's see. Let's do this. This is a tune of mine called The Portal. And nowadays you have a lot of loopers and that kind of thing. They're real common, where you record yourself playing and then you play something over it. The trick goes back already a good 50 years. It's not a new device at this point. This is kind of like AI. It's really catching on now, but it's been around. And so I use a delay pedal where I'll play a note and then it'll repeat the note like 3 times. So it adds some, you know, again, let's call it space and echo, right? So this is called The Portal because I feel like it's just this open gateway to God and my experiencing Him as I play. You know, that's why I've got to keep doing this, because He's in there, you know, and we get to commune, and I know other people engage with that too. And so, you know, I play all sorts of situations. I'll play bars, clubs, worship events, music camps. I teach guitar. I have to wear a lot of different hats. And so But it's nice when we can go there. It's called the portal. Thanks, you guys. Thank you. You see what I mean? Yeah. There's a lot of things going on there. It's like one of the tricks that I love to do is take a melody and see if it can be changed to major or minor or vice versa, depending on, you know, where the song starts, right? Because it's such a mood shift. You're fire and ice in music, major, minor. You need both, you know? Too much of one, not good. You know, again, balance and excitement, right? And I'll be chasing it the rest of my life, so. Yes, ma'am. The click, that's a good question. So again, I went to school for music, and this Michael Hedges guy, boy, it's a long story, so I'm gonna make it short. You know when you take a quarter and you flip it like that? And that's the trick. So it's just taking the thumb like you're flicking a quarter. And I learned that from a doumbek, which is a hand drum. It's an Arabic hand drum. And I took some courses on that because my guitar player hero, through a long story, was dabbling in those rhythms of what would have been, where they would have been was from Iraq. And so we had our teacher who worked with this Michael Hedges guy, and then he ended up teaching a course on these doumbeks. And so I worked with this traditional Arabic patterns of drums, and they have names for their patterns, you know? It's so different than American music. We kind of might have waltz, you know, a polka and a few other things. Polka's European anyway. And so, anyway, boom, boom, boom. They have, I think, 29 you know, standard rhythms that they use. Each has a name. And then melodies go with that. So it's from a drum trick. But again, that too, I was somewhat kind of robbed from that drum where you get, it's a very versatile drum. It just has one head. It has a middle part where you get the low sound, boom. And then hit it on the rim, just like the rim on a snare. Gets a real high, hard sound. But you got things in between that too. So it's just like a drum set. You got a kick drum, snare, hi-hat. I haven't even played any notes yet. And that's the beauty of it, right? Eventually. No, not too bad. That's the beauty of it. And I actually get acrylic put on these 4 fingernails. I go to a nail salon. I have a regular nail lady. And it helps, you know, your natural nails, they wear down quite a bit, you know, if you're playing a lot, especially on a steel string guitar. So guitarists have various ways of dealing with that, and it's been quite effective. Good volume.
So typically, when you make music strumming or picking, but I notice you also sometimes make sounds with your left hand, you know, or just by fingering on the neck. Could you show us a couple of those things?
Sure. Yeah. Again, this Michael Hedges guy, he did what he called the bar pull-off. You know, and so then it frees up this hand. It's like a march. You know? And there's a part in that last song different part. Not this end, this end. Right, so you have all these things overlying each other. Bass, which might be rhythmic, might be not. Boom, then that note is in the middle, and that just sustains. And they might do something else up on the top. Magic number is like 3. How do I get a bass, accompaniment, melody? And sometimes you get lucky, I'll as much as do 5. You know, that's like on a good day where you can, you know, it's like, I always call it the, what do they call it? The coconut game. 3 shells. 1 shell forward. Another shell forward. Bring that back. 2 up. Yeah, 2. Now different combinations thereof. And then boom, all 3. And then sometimes you get a spare. But that's the joy of the composition, right? I try to let the song lead. And if it's hard to play, or I got to figure out something new to make a note happen, that's what I got to figure out. That'll be, you know, up to me if I'm up to the challenge. But it's like the song, hopefully, is kind of telling you what to do.
Sometimes you're playing both hands on the neck. Is that a certain technique?
Yeah. It too has a lot of purveyors along the way. You know, in the electric world, he had Eddie Van Halen. He wasn't the first guy to do it. Some acoustic players have done it. He certainly kind of synthesized it, and we're like, oh, that's what you can do with it, you know? And again, this Michael Hedges guy, being a solo guitarist, his sense of composition and bass, melody, all that stuff. And again, it's like, hopefully the song is kind of needing those techniques versus just, you know, monkey see, monkey do. But it's great, because then you get this ostinato thing. That's really cool, right? Well, that gets really boring after about 10 seconds. He's still doing it. And that's where those open tunings come in. Well, okay. Again, I guess we're a short attention span as humans, right? We're looking for more. You can change that around. Bach would do stuff like that all day. So I switched to 2 voices there. Single voice on the top string, this string. And I'm mixing that up. There's 2 notes. Fattens up the sound. And I changed that bass note. Needed that note, because we had 1, 4, 5 in there. Nice. The 6. In conjunction with those extra notes now. So now we're like, okay, good. Now we're cooking with gas. Play with them a little bit. And I go back to the melody, but I've changed it now to major. So it takes it to a new place. Whereas when the song started, and actually it's kind of more minor as it evolves. Flat 6. Minor 4, minor 3. So it's all minor, right? But then you get the major lift, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. Leonard Cohen was Jewish, so he understood all the Old Testament, and so that comes out in his lyrics. You'll dig into that, and you're like, oh. He's got some little storehouse, pretty big storehouse, actually. So, let's see, it's almost noon. Do I need to wrap up here? Yeah. Any final questions?
You got any questions? Was the open, all place open, is that the suspended cord? Is that the cord or is it a different cord?
This chord?
Yeah.
That would be, yes, a suspended fourth. Nice. And it's the pitch is actually D flat. Because I like to just bottom it out, you know, a little more low. And the beauty of the 12 string, you can kind of keep dropping it, but because of these octave strings, it doesn't really get muddy. Bluesmen were doing it 100 years ago, and it makes the thing easier to play because it drops the tension on the instrument too. Pete Seeger, he would do this low tuning trick. I'm like, wait a minute, Pete Seeger? You sandbagged us, man. I thought this trick got invented, you know, like 30, 40 years ago. Nah. Keep digging. And that's the beauty of this stuff. You keep researching, keep reading, keep watching, you know. It's like, what are your resources, you know? Who is your resource? Who's your neighbor? What did he talk to, you know? And on and on and on, and you just keep rabbit trailing. It's great. Yes, sir. Uh-huh. So the movie was called Noon? Dune. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, like I said, that's that modern sound. And you won't find that before 1980. You just won't. Michael Hedges, his first record came out in about 81, something like that. And we've been chasing it ever since. He's the Jimi Hendrix of his ilk. Again, Jimi Hendrix was the guy who just reinvented how you approach the instrument. You know, spiritual element aside, he was an inventor. And he embraced many things, and you know, I'm trying to do that. I'm grabbing stuff from Ireland, from my own experience, Africa, whatever I hear that sounds cool, or that I think sounds cool, right? You know, not everything sounds cool, in my opinion, but that's my opinion, right? We all have them. This has been a real treat, you guys. Any final questions? Yes, ma'am. Pardon? Thank you. Thank you very much. I work at it. I work hard at it. So, yeah, if it stops becoming fun, sometimes you got to push through that. You know, if you only do things that are fun, you're probably not going to do much of anything for very long. You know, and so there's definitely been times I have not had fun with this life that, you know, the struggles doing art produces, right? But I'm like, well, but again, I'm like, no, the Lord is in this. I've got to persevere.
How did you do the beat while strumming the right hand?
So was it on an earlier song?
Yeah, on the earlier one.
Right. first heard that trick from other singer-songwriters who weren't even playing, you know, like fancy solo stuff. I'm like, oh, that's kind of clever. And it's like juggling, man. It took me forever. You know, there's times where your melody note hits at the same time one of those percussion notes, and that's where it gets tricky. If you're just alternating, it's a lot easier. They're not simultaneous. Do it on beats 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Beats 1 and 3 will be your bass line. And that's where you get room for everybody. So again, that's kind of these multiple 3, 4 parts going on. Everything's just kind of hitting the holes. That's his note, then a percussion thing, then a melody note. And in the end, it still has to be musical, right? You know, like you can show off all you want, but again, people are going to tune out unless something is engaging them, right? And again, that's kind of the beauty is I can chase that for the rest of my life. God willing, I will. Any other questions? Yeah. All right. All right, this is a new piece. It's good to, like, obviously keep creating. And it's been a while since I had something finished that was new. And this is called Flying Dove. Thank you. Thanks so much. So that's some of that Irish stuff that I was talking about, or the British Isles. It's a beautifully haunting style. So again, thank you guys so much, for welcoming me. Hope has been a long brother community to me for 25 years, and so many relationships, and I'm so grateful for all of you guys. Thank you so much, Jack and everybody.
Again, this is Paul Finley. So, you parents, you talk to your parents something, if you want to take guitar lessons, he is a great guitar teacher also, you can tell. All right? Thank you, Will. Have a great weekend. We will see you Sunday or Monday.
Music on Spotify.